Hey, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Queen beat me to it. Welcome, everyone, or welcome back. You were here for the morning session. I guess that's going to be uh, my identifier. Shalor is here. Richard, J Stores, Vivian. Good afternoon, everyone. Absolutely. Okay, looked like we had even more downside during the lunch hours. We had a sweep of pre-lunch lows that was created right, or actually, no, this is during lunch. Let's see, pre-lunch is up here. But we did reach the February 21st low, and this is where I said if we close below this line, then we are bullish for the week. Likewise, if we close, well, we've already created new lows for everything through the daily. So we're already bearish for the daily, and weekly is the only one that's still slightly bullish, and it's only because it hasn't been closed below a protected low. But the protected low is here at 17,623. So we'll keep monitoring that area. Today's just Wednesday, so we have 2 more days of trading, and we'll see where we end up at the end of the week. Go ahead and mark up session highs for now, and we'll see if they last. Oops. All right, so we have a CISD here created over this swing high, trade back down into this range right here, and push higher. Just move these to the back half of the hour. Daily chart is looking clean now. had so many levels marked up because of how long price stayed in this upper area of where the daily is between 18,000 and 18,500. Price stayed in that area for, I don't know, the better part of 2 months. So there was just so many lines and so many markings and so many things. But now most of that is cleared off. Right. 17,606. Let's, oh, is that consequent encroachment of the weekly wick? Yeah, we could. We definitely could do something like this, where you get up into this fair value gap that's right here. And then you see a sweep of the lunch low, which takes you down to 606. And then maybe back up. And it's a weekly wick from the week of January 29th. Jay, I don't see 487 as equal lows on the 4 hour. I went back to February. I don't see equal lows at 487. I see February 1st having equal lows around 515. Anyway, here. All right, so in 15 more minutes, we'll reset the lunch high and low and then see where price trades to from there. All right, so it looks like this area right here didn't get mitigated on the push down. You know what? Let's actually take a look here at the comparison chart, and let's go from there. So we take a look on the far left with the USD. We do have a sweep of lows here just within this hour. All right, we're pushing towards levels from Monday, so pushing lower than yesterday's lows. But then if we move over to checking out our indices, we can see that, at least on the lower time frames, we already knew that both NQ and S&P have swept lows and are pushing into February prices. Like you can see, if you look to the left, there's no price action here because everything's back in February. All right, and it's exactly the same on NQ. You can see there's nothing here. I can scroll as much as I want. You won't see anything until, say, February 21st. However, on the Dow Jones, we haven't even swept Monday's low. We got really close to it during the last hour, during lunch, and now it's pushing higher with the other indices. So the Dow has not swept that low. And it could be that yesterday it actually did what the other indices are doing today. And that is correct. So that's what happened. So yesterday when Dow was the weakest, it swept those levels that we're now seeing in Q, as well as S&P do the same today. And so what we might end up getting is some bullish pressure now that follows the Dow. So we'll look for the Dow to be the leader here and show where it wants to go. And if the Dow starts pushing towards these highs and wants to continue higher, then we'll expect the other indices to follow. Also, we're looking at the dollar as potentially continuing lower. Now, it's like I said, it already has swept the lows from yesterday. So that may be as far as it wanted to go today, and we may see just consolidation this afternoon. But we could also see it continue to push lower. So we want to check back regularly just to see what's happening with the dollar and adjust our trading accordingly. All right, we can get back over now. Yep. Thank you to everyone who's liked the live stream so far. I really do appreciate it. Vivian, I'm not sure if anyone answered your question. But yes, the max contracts is how many you can have on at any particular time, not in a particular day. Looks like we're getting a fair value gap flip here. On the 15-minute, we had a bearish one, which now has flipped to, in the next 5 minutes, we'll see where this candle closes, but potentially we could have a bullish fair value gap in the exact same area, just on the other side. Yeah, I would say having a treadmill in the same room as your computer is probably not a bad idea, especially if you have a television on the wall. I might have to do that. I mean, that's an excellent way to get your cardio in while also not missing out on your studying or anything else that you want to do. Queen's gonna get rebranded. All right, so we have these rejection candles or wicks here where price pushed up to this order block level and then started pushing back down. We see now it's going for another retest. We have another 2 or 3 minutes and then we'll be at 130. So it looks like our lunch high and low may stay intact without having to be adjusted. Desk bite. I don't think I've ever heard of that. On Timu. Okay. I do need some cardio. I'm not gonna lie. I definitely need some cardio. This retracement candle right here is inside of the macro, the last macro we were in. And from there, we've already seen price buy up 70 points from there. Okay, new high. So I did put in a new high. It's now 130 and the lunch high survived. So we're going to leave that up there at 750. Lunch low is down at 615. And we'll see how price wants to trade between those two levels. And we have a bearish fair value gap here on the 5-minute. Consequent encroachment is the start of this S&D level that was never mitigated. So we'll see if once price does mitigate this level, if we see a breakdown to the downside. Burn bullish breaker to 1210 candle. Oh, yep. I'm glad we're on the same page here, Queen. I have it marked up, just waiting to get up there. See if we close above. That's 17,717. So we're retesting that area. We do have another push above the breaker, but still no closure. Fail or stall means we're still heavily bearish. We want to see a nice candle come across that line. Nine 17. So I'm assuming you're talking about the 1 hour time. I mean, the 1 minute time frame. Oh, okay, I see. I see what you're saying. Yeah, this came your breaker. Confirmation on the 9:30 candle. Trade back into it, and off it went. Not trying to jinx it here, but let's see if the next 45 seconds price remains in the area that it's currently in and can confirm this breaker. Great, but we also have the S&D area being traded into, being mitigated as it wasn't before. Let's move this back. Shallow close. Oh, okay, you don't like the wick here. So that's a close at 723. The breaker is at 718. So that's about a 5-point closure above. However, a large size wick inside the S&D zone. However, it is close to the upper edge of where the fair value gap is. So I would decrease the value of the fair value gap since it's gone almost 100% through it. We do have macro coming in about 10 minutes. So we'll see where price is at that time. Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine if we're still bearish though, and we're looking for deep lower prices, that we would take this lunch high. Yep, dollar is still pushing lower. It's at the lowest point of the hour. Yeah, Quinn, you're right. On the 1 hour, the indices and the dollar are all bearish price structure. Now we're probably retracing down to this level, somewhere close to it, 17,666. Okay. Thank you, Ray. Appreciate that. Yep. Internal range liquidity. I'm looking for the only thing we really have is this fair value gap down low. We probably got a tiny one right here. Okay, well, 671.5 to 72 flat. So it's half a point. Yep. Let's see. Okay, so we stretch this to be a 3-minute. Then we can find a unicorn. Okay, we're also a minute away from the macro. So it started in about 60 seconds. We just took out the high that was created 10, 15 minutes ago. Let's see if it continues or if it's a turtle soup here. So it did not close above. This follow-up candle is really important. Okay, we're getting close to the end of the hour. Remember, we were looking at the comparison chart, which is the hourly, and we wanted to see if, since the dollar was at its lowest value of the hour, selling off heavily, we wanted to see if the indices would catch up and finish up the hour near their highs, and show strong bullish candles towards the upside. So we'll use the next 10 minutes to see if price can finish that way, or if we get a meltdown and it kind of loses some of its momentum. Right now it's looking strong. However, all three indices running into bearish fair value gaps. From the big price move down, there was like 3 consecutive hours of bearish momentum, which left a fair value gap there. So we'll see if price can push through that, or if it kind of gets stuck. So on NQ, it's above the lunch high, so we haven't reached it yet. However, S&P pushed all the way through and then rejected and is now trading below it. And we had the same thing for the Dow. Dow traded all the way to the top and rejected, is now trading below it. Previously, we saw this fair value got respected on the 3-minute, which is also the time frame that it came from. So let me go back over to the 3-minute and just, okay. All right, so far it's still respecting it. Okay, I'll go back to the 1-minute. Nearly identical candles, almost the same wick, almost the same candle body as well. All right, so traded above the 5-minute fair value gap here. Let's see if it runs to the lunch high at 750. So it needs about another 8 or 9 points to get up to the lunch high. Can it do it? You're long at 703? Okay. All right, Queen. Hey, it's about 30 seconds. We'll close the hour here. So again, I mentioned about 10 minutes ago, let's see where we close at the end of the hour. If we're close to the top of the hourly candle, and it looks like we are going to close very, very close to that. There it is. Still 10 more minutes in the macro. Let's see if the lunch high gets ran during this time. Mm-hmm. Will this push through the lunch high? No problem. No problem, Queen. It's just crazy how often in the macro you get an entry into the breaker, or in this case, the unicorn, even though there were several entries prior to. It waited until the macro tapped it, and then that's when it made its move. Let's see here. Keep pushing. Just waiting for this to push to a new high so I can remove this fair value gap because it's a 1 minute. And so we don't want to keep those on our charts too long. All right, let's see when we're going to stop getting these slope highs. Mm-hmm. 7, 12, 634. Oh, man. Jesus Christ, Molly. 634. Ooh wee. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, Molly took this one. So yeah, that change in state of delivery. When it came back down, she got in. SMT with The Dow, okay. Okay, finally broke this slope here, which is good. Okay, not quite. All it did was create this one. Okay. There you go. Break through there. Good job. Now I can delete it. Jesus. Wicked price action here. All right, you got 20 seconds left. Let's see what it does. All right. Okay, it looks like this fair value gap here that was on the 1 minute is in the same position for the 5, so I'll leave it here. I like this better. Queen, is that S&D zone? Is that coming from the 1 minute? Or Anderson, what's going on? No, it's okay. No, it's fine, Queen. I just wanted to make sure I was aligned with what you were seeing, just so I can continue learning. Mass Petrochem. We just finished looking at this breaker during the last macro period, where a lot of people took the breaker or the unicorn setup of the fair value gap, and they took it higher for, I don't know, 30, 40 points here. So if another setup comes up, well, we'll let you know. But immediately after a previous setup, there's not going to be one that we can call out. If you have any questions about what price is doing right now, let us know. And so we had a tap back into the consequent encroachment of the breaker here, down at 698. So far, we're seeing a nice big push out of that area. It hasn't, even on the 1 minute, it hasn't taken out any highs yet. So it hasn't really done anything except get us a little excited. But you can see this high, this high, oops, this high. None of them have been taken. So it's still, there's still sort of a trend line happening here. Bundle up. You said going long. Give me your parameters. Tell me what's giving you that indication, and then we can discuss. It's all after natural gas. Okay. Yeah, you're right. We do need some movement. It's been I mean, it's been doing it on the daily for a couple months, but at least throughout the day, it gave us a range to work with. But yeah, you're right. The last few days, once it hit those hourly fair value gaps, we've had basically 2 full days where there's been a couple of hours where there's good price movement, but the remainder has definitely been sideways. All right, so we're now at the 50% mark of the bullish leg during 1 o'clock. So this price point from down here right at 1 o'clock all the way up to the top, we're about halfway through that now. It slipped on some crude. Yeah, you're right. There's a little hope, but we keep getting rejected at this slope. However, that slope could provide some nice liquidity if price wants to go and take that now. Question, Queen or anyone. So I have the lunch high marked up as the highest point during the 12 o'clock hour, but here on the 1 minute, I notice that even though this is the highest wick, it's not the highest closing candle. That would be here. That basically doesn't have a wick at all. And if you take that level from the highest closing candle, then we end up sweeping that level by one tick at 157. I think the tick here is 747 and a half. Wonder if that means anything. I know Ray mentioned that ES had already taken the lunch high. Oh, did you, Robin? Okay. Yeah. It was just an observation. It's just something that I saw just in case we don't make it back up there and then we're sitting here waiting on the lunch high to be swept and then price completely moves in the other direction. I just wanted to make sure that we were aware of that and if in the future we need to adjust just the way we look at it. Mm-hmm. Yep. So this breaker's, yeah, it's still holding. Let me go ahead and readjust it for 5 minutes. There it is. All right, if it's a breaker and we have this as the manipulation leg, we still have the 50% area for the manipulation leg down at 1766 and a half, 666 and a half. So we still have that area to trade to. Three and three quarters. We have not taken it yet. Yeah, I have the same queen, the same. It's the 1201 candle on the 1 minute is the highest candle. It just doesn't have the highest candle body. So are you saying that on the micros it has the highest candle body? You know what, let me just add the micros to my All right. Well, price may still run up there. So maybe what I just brought up is a moot point, but we'll see in just a bit. All right. I can drop this trend line here since it's traded well above that, which is good. Want to see that trend broken. Took out 2 of those highs. Okay. Use the wicks for everything. All right. Maybe this was a silver bullet delivered 20 points here. Any of these candle could have been entry points from 220 all the way until 227. See her hear a lot of people talking about ES, so let's move over and check out ES for a second. Oops, sorry, not. Yeah, I would lean on this lower one here, and hopefully during the next macro period, this one activates on ES. We have this area that has not been mitigated yet. Uh, each futures trader, we look for body closures, not just the wick. So we want the body to close on the other side, and that gives you the confirmation. If you just get a wick, then that's, I guess, part of a turtle soup setup. Stay below 1350. Let's take a peek at the Dow. We still have 10 minutes before the next macro comes. Wow. Okay. Switch be over here. Yeah. No retracement on the Dow. You either were in or you missed it. Now, if you take this one, which I like much more, by the way, just because it's nice and clean, 2 candle pullback, and then a flush. All right, we'll revisit these later in the day and see how well they held up. Let's get back to ES. Still nothing. And let's go back to NQ. All right, NQ, no invalidation. Look at that. Wow. All right, lunch high is not gonna make it now. All right, there it is. Look at that. 50 points in 1 or 2 candles. Let's go down to the 1 minute so we can watch this run away. Oh, all right, let's get these things off the screen here, clean it up a bit. Breaker held up, never invalidated. But we did get, so at the very end, we got a sweep of essentially the low after lunch hour. So if you took it the low after 1:30 until now, it was right here. Swept that low and then took off to the races. Wow. 1 minute candles just deliver 80 points. And if you were in at the top of the breaker, you got in at 717. So it just gave up, it gave 60. $17,700. Okay. All right, Joel. Good job. Yep. This seems like a reaction from this move right here. So during lunch, we tapped in that February 21st, the protected low that we talked about. Closing below it would signal a market structure shift on the weekly. Just a tap and then take off the opposite direction. There's a turtle soup entry that delivered already 160 points. Where would I exit on this trade? Ooh, let's see. I mean, if I was in that long, I'd probably already be exit. I probably would have had an exit right around where the high was for lunch hour. But if you didn't like that one and you want to walk your way up, you have basically you're just going to be looking for swing points or fair value gaps. Right now, at least on the 5 minute, there aren't any fair value gaps until we get to this hour. So it's 17,850. But we do have a swing point right here. Then if it makes into the fair value gap, we have relative equal highs right there. Yep. So in the 1 hour, let's go to the 1 hour quickly before we get to the macro. So we see on the 1 hour, we had a tap into this protected low, February 21st, this red line down here. Then we saw the 1 o'clock hour build up, essentially covering up the 12 o'clock hours candle. All of that downwards push, recovered all of it during the 1 o'clock hour. And now here we're in the 2 o'clock, it traded down. I had a price marked up to where 50% of this candle was. It went just south of that, and start pushing upwards. So we don't have any fair value gaps in between. So the next level is at 850 here on the hourly. We were just looking at the 5 minute and we marked up essentially where this wick is on this candle and then the fair value gap. So it's up to you what you like, whether it's 805 is the level, whether it's 850 is the level. But those are the next levels we have above us is 805 and 850. Good question. Anyone who's good at the market maker models on the 5 minute, did we just complete a market maker model, or are we in the middle of one? $17,800. Okay. Thanks, Queen. Appreciate it. Yeah, that's what I was looking at. I was thinking that maybe Terminus would be at 850 up here, but I could be wrong. I guess maybe you're thinking it's the 830 open. All right, let's get back to the 1 minute since we're in the middle of the macro. $950 or higher. Okay, thank you. Hmm. $682. All right, let's hope we don't get that 682 closure below that. Hmm. Hmm. You retrace to an unmitigated zone. One-minute breaker here. Hmm. There it is. Hmm. All right, Shalor. Catch you tomorrow. What's that? Triple C? S&D zone. I think it's the same as far as what it means, the words. But I think it's defined differently more than a supply and demand like level where you think of those more of like swing highs. I think this is more of when you catch a trend and you get sort of a small retracement and then the trend continues. That area is what they're referring to. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the R. Not sure what the R means. Triple C. All right, Splash. Catch you tomorrow. Yeah, is this violated now? All right, so after this candle, we'll see if we can get rid of the breaker here. All right, there it goes. Trader Kartik, I'm good. How are you? All right, Triple C, there you have it. All right, so now we've reached 50% of this leg down. The last leg down before we saw price build back up and cross over these highs just after lunch. So instead of having this big orange box everywhere, I just wanted to put the consequent encroachment level, which we have just reached. Back, let me put it back up for just a bit. I'll leave it there for a few more minutes. Just until we finish the macro at 10 after 3. All right, everyone. It's power hour, so we're getting ready for whatever the final move of the day is going to be. Yeah, Triple C. So here you go. You see this level here? You see the leg was building down to take out this level. However, before this candle broke the level, there was this retracement. So this would be that level for it. This would be where you would expect it to trade back into. Okay. And there's your 17,704 would be your consequent encroachment. So if price ends up down here somewhere before retracing here, then you would expect it to retrace back up and then go down. So you'd be looking for this. Okay, no problem. In fact, I'll leave it here for a second. We'll see if it trades back to it. J Store is looking for 646. Okay. Um, Mira Cis, what exactly do you mean about daily bias? What do you want to know? All right, Molly, catch you tomorrow. All right, I see you. I'll drag this across. Oh, you want to know tomorrow's daily bias? Okay. Well, it depends. We've just taken out 2 levels of external range liquidity, so you would expect now for price to push back into internal range liquidity, and we probably would have expected it a couple days ago once the first level of external range was taken. So I guess we're kind of stuck until it turns around. But when it does turn around, we'd be looking for a fair value gap for it to trade back into, because it is, as of now, showing bearish. So, but it really depends on where we close today. So so we're gonna have to wait until about 4 o'clock to see where the candle closes. The 10-minute had a clean bearish breaker. Okay, the 10-minute. Hey, let's see what we got here. Okay, I think I see what you're saying. So you take this one here. Okay, so the macro is now over. We'll shift this to the back half of the hour. And we'll see what the rest of power hour has for us. J Stores was looking at 646 as a retracement level, and it's almost there. Session low at 615. Okay. That could definitely be it. We're close enough to it. All right, let's do one final check and let's look and see where the dollar's trading and how those things are unfolding here. All right, looks like the dollar has reached a low and is now building back up, trading into this bearish fair value gap. So price will likely, I would imagine, the next hour be held in this area, either trade into it halfway or a quarter way and reject, or just trade in and just kind of consolidate inside of. We would hope the Dow would have the opposite effect, having the opposite fair value gap here. However, there is no fair value gap for S&P and NQ. The only thing is bearish fair value gaps above, which is already rejected from. So yeah, we'll see how the dollar fares during this hour. I would imagine it wouldn't do too much, but if we can get a big push from the Dow, maybe the other two will follow. But we also have a rejection candle here. So that level right there might be it holds price back, but still for the Dow, that's another 30. So it's about 130, 150 points away from where price is right now. So let's see if we get bullish activity for this hour. That back up. But if we continue to reject and we end up sweeping these lows, then yes, this lunch low is in jeopardy. But as Queen pointed out, on the 10-minute as well as the 2-minute, this is showing a bearish breaker here. So we now have price trading back into it, hitting consequent encroachment of that. And once it did, we do have a rejection back to the entry point. Back to the 10-minute so we can see it a little cleaner there. Okay, it's actually a unicorn. Yep. Or a short at 680. Okay. So right around where we are now. Dixie is melting. Okay, let's take a look. I thought that 1 hour fair value gap that it was running into would either hold it and it would just hold its position for the remainder of the hour, or would reject and push lower towards the at least consequent encroachment of the last hour's candle. Let's see. Let's throw this up as a marker. See if it wants to trade that low. So, yeah, it looks like it's close to where it was before. A little bit lower, but we'll keep checking on it. So appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, you took TP already. 10 points. That's fine. That's not bad. Yeah, you want to see the Dow? All right. Let's see. Not holding. That traded down to this tiny little fair value gap, right to consequent encroachment. So that was, at the time, that was the unicorn. So we'll see if price wants to continue to buy up out of there. But this was your breaker. There's your fair value gap right there at 37,943 for unicorn setup. This is your manipulation. It has not traded down to 50%, so that could still happen. It could still make its way down to 37,900. Yep. But also on this time frame, we definitely have a market structure shift here. So we turned bullish at this point, retraced a bit, not a whole lot here. Then we retrace. So now when we made this high, that made this the protected low down at 38 flat, or 38.18, right? And this traded below it, creating a market structure shift. Here's your protected high, right? And we're trading lower. So it just depends on how low the Dow wants to go. But there is a bullish breaker right here. It's just whether it's going to hold or not. And let's find a bearish breaker as well. All right, so bearish breaker would be here. All right. So looking at this, all you you have this fair value gap in the center, which is on the hour. So that's a good thing. Is it should be a strong fair value gap. But you have a bearish breaker. This is gone. You have a bearish breaker here and a bullish breaker here, and price is now trading in between, bouncing back and forth. So be careful if you traded all this, because this doesn't look good to me. Unless you have better insight as to which one of these you believe will hold, and you choose a direction, and you either go short thinking this is the breaker that's going to hold and price is going to do this, or you go long thinking the bullish breaker will hold and price is going to do this. So you make the decision there, but this is what you got. So right now price action looks a bit 50-50, which makes it difficult to trade. No, the orange area is sort of the manipulation leg, right? So for every breaker, you have a manipulation that breaks through, but then price goes the other way. Now on the manipulation leg, price likes to trade back to 50% of that. So that's what the orange is set up for. Now it may also be an order block, but I haven't looked into it to see if that's the case. That was the Dow. We were looking at the Dow, Queen. We were looking at the Dow. And now we're back on Nasdaq. No, you didn't miss anything. No, Miss Goody asked if I could take a look at the Dow again. That's crazy how you're right. The bullish breaker was invalidated on this candle at the same time the bearish breaker was validated. So you invalidated one, invalidated the other. That's awesome. Yeah, point if you mess up at the end of the day, you got to think about it all night long. Yep, you're right, Queen. You did talk about price likes to go from breaker to breaker. Yeah, I believe it. I do believe it. If only I was disciplined enough to just do that. Sure. All right. Let's get back to where's this breaker created? All right. So the breaker is actually really it's this whole level. Right? However, for the breaker to form, you need to go from a high to a low to a higher high to a lower low. Right? And this first leg is what is your breaker. This creates the breaker, right? However, you have all of this price action that's up here. That's above the breaker, and you want to take a short. So you want price to trade back in and then down to a lower area. However, what you notice sometime, and this is how you lose a breaker setup when you enter in a breaker and you lose, it's because price will trade into 50% of this leg. So if we make this, let me see. Let's call this 1. Yep. So we'll call this leg 1. Call that leg 2. So leg 2 is going to be this. And so not every time, but a lot of times you'll see leg 2 traded into consequent encroachment. And that's this line right here. So it's at 17,741. So while you want it, so when price breaks below and confirms it, you want to wait for it to trade back in for you to take the entry to go short. However, be aware of where your stop is placed because price can retrace all the way to here. And so sometimes you'll get stopped out if you don't have your stop placed for far enough back. And that's why occasionally what you'll do is if this area is too big to account for price trading back to here, you want to wait and enter at 50%. So at least your stop loss doesn't have to be so large. But it doesn't always retrace back to this leg 2. That doesn't always happen, but a lot of times it does. And so that's what that is. Right. And obviously, whoops, leg 3 is the confirmation. Oops. All right, Triple C, does that, you have any more questions or did that answer it? Yep. Yeah, so Triple C, a lot of times what you'll see is you'll see price move once you enter at the breaker right here, you'll see price move about 30 points, right? You'll get 30 or 40 points out of it, and then you'll see it come back and trade all the way up to here. And so anyone who moved their stop to break even or anything like that, then they'll get stopped out and price will trade all the way to the top, tap that 50% mark, and then go for 100 points or whatever. And if you didn't take profit when it moved 40 points, or if you move your stop loss up, you missed out on the longer move and you had to end up taking the shorter move, and that's your profit. So that's something to work on when you're back testing, is to recognize how often price moves back to leg 2. And then when it does, how much did it deliver already on leg 3, just in case you were in the trade already? When should you take profit just in case it comes back? So no, it doesn't have to be on the 10-minute. It's on the 10-minute now because that's where this breaker was formed on the 10-minute. So that's why I'm showing you here on the 10. But it could be on the 5, it could be on the 3, it could be on whichever time frame the breaker formed. Yep. Yeah, no problem. All right, Anderson, we'll catch you later. Yep. All right, we'll get back down to the 5-minute here. Let's try to move some of this out of the way so we have a little bit of a cleaner setup here. All right, during the last macro is when this breaker was confirmed. You see, is this J Stores looking for this S&D zone here? Oh, thank you, Squeeze. I appreciate it. The breaker is in blue. Invest in blue. Mm. Yeah, let me see if this thing works. Mm. I'm not sure this indicator works. But yeah, I eyeball mine as well for J Stores. Whenever I see a breaker, it's just what I see. Yep. So the easiest way to identify a breaker, if you're just doing it on your own, is to just follow price action. So on the move down, all you're doing is every time there's a new low that's confirmed, right? Then you're marking up essentially the protected high, right? When this low was created, you would mark up the high, which was up here. Then it traded lower, put it here. So then your protected high would go here, right? Gave a retracement, traded lower, confirming. So your protected high would go here. And then when price broke that and broke your protected high, that's your breaker. The breaker would be the protected high back down to where it came from, where it started from. The last low that was broken. And so it would have been here. All right. Price came back, traded above, closed above on this candle, confirming the breaker. And so then that last leg down is that manipulation leg. And even though price came back, tapped the breaker, gave us 40 or 50 points, look at where it wants to come back down to. Right here. The only thing is on the way back down, it created a bearish breaker and closed below this one, invalidating the bullish one. So that's where we're stuck now. And then that's when you're like, okay, all right, well, it could go either way. So I'm out right now. Generally, when it retraces back down into the breaker, it doesn't create another one right on top of it. It'll create a bearish breaker up here, and then you have a bullish breaker down here, and then you'll see price trade in between. Mm. Yep, no problem, Squeeze. Yes, anybody else, if you're sitting there and you have questions, don't prolong asking, because the quicker you ask the question, the quicker you get your answer, and you're moving to the next phase of your journey. So make sure you raise your hand and ask any questions you have. Oh, in the morning and PM session, price respects the 1 minute lows and highs. Okay. Okay, so we're yes, right. So whichever is protected, it must close above to activate it. Otherwise, you're gonna end up with a turtle soup. It'll peek its head above, trade back inside, close, and then you see price break down further, and you get a new low. So in that case, you would have lost the bullish breaker. Bullish breaker setup. So yes, it must close above. So this candle right here, when it just came above and traded right back into the range, we said, okay, that's not it. We continue waiting. It got to the next candle, traded above, closed right here, which was above that line. And so then we said, all right, we're activated. The next candle traded inside. So you could have taken your entry there. All right. Once you got the closure here, this candle, and this candle, you had 3 consecutive candles that gave you an entry and started building up. It then came back down again and gave you even more entries, right? Came down and touched 50%. And then it took off. And so this was the entry a lot of people took, who was in the room around that time. 150 to 210 macro during that time was when this was confirmed. This was confirmed at 135. But here's the 150 candle, and this is the 5 minutes. So we were at that time, we were at the 1 minute candle. So it looks like this one candle traded in, but this could have been 3 or 4 consecutive 1 minute candles trading inside. So it gave you 10 to 15 minutes to get in. And then on the other side, it gave you even more time. And then finally at 235 was when it gave you the winning trade, which at that time, the target was the lunchtime high. The lunchtime high, I believe, was around 17,750, something like that. So, but on the way down, it closed below. This candle right here closed below the breaker. So that invalidated the breaker, and we no longer were looking bullish, right? And it closed below the bearish breaker. So now we were looking for shorts. Traded back in and started trading lower. Yep. Now, when you have a breaker with a fair value gap inside, that's what we call a unicorn. So this would be a bearish breaker with a bearish fair value gap inside. So this would be a bearish unicorn setup. Okay, we're in the macro now. So let's go down to the 1 minute. Oops. Once again, price traded into the breaker, up to the fair value gap. The macro started. So people always ask me, what are we looking for during the macro? The macro started, it touched the fair value gap, and now we see price breaking down. Earlier, I did get in on the 5 minute. Yes, I did. Oh, squeeze from Paris. All right. Oh, it's 10 p.m. I see. It is pretty late. All right. Glad you were able to join. We'll catch you another time. All right. Let's see if this will hold during this end of the day. It is the end of the day, so maybe the bearish won't hold, and we might see price push towards the midnight open, but we'll see. Yeah, I'm just trying to be cognizant of the fact that we've been bearish all day. So we get to the end, price, the candle needs to make a wick. So you may sometimes at the end of the day see price move in the opposite direction just so it can make that daily wick. M is from the Netherlands. All right. Yeah, one of these days I'll post where everyone's from, because I'm actually surprised at how many countries are represented when I look at who's watching the videos. Get rid of this line here, since price already traded back down to that. All right, looks like it gave a second entry to the same area. Let's see if it makes it below this low here. These equal lows. The first entry delivered about 20 points. We also have equal lows here, which could be a magnet for price. 648. All right, equal lows again. Yellow news at 4. Okay, yes. I forgot about that. We have orange news at what, 6:30 or something? 5:30. Right. So far price has filled in the fair value gap here. I wonder if that was the draw on liquidity for this final couple minutes of trading today. Negativo, negative. Let's get rid of that. Let's see if we can't make it down to 645. That'll make my explanation I just gave that much stronger. Right, 4 o'clock now, about 10 minutes left before trading closes. Right, there we go. Swept the equal lows, touched into 50% of another S&D area that hadn't been traded back to. Right, there we go. Right, good job, Queen. I took that one too. Let's see, what was my 681 down to 649. Okay, so I ended up getting in around here. I think my exit was at these equal lows. Just a couple ticks higher, just in case it got close enough and then turned around on me. I wanted to make sure I was able to TP out. But so there we have it for trading this afternoon, for the afternoon session. And before someone asks, I don't know the next setup for the next 8 minutes. Oh, sweet, Vivian, good job. Congratulations. Sihol, I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. I just walked everybody through this short setup right here. I just spent 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes talking about this short setup. You didn't see me take the short on screen, but I just talked about why it was a good setup, why it was the setup. And yeah, the choice is yours, whether you want the setup or not. Mia, all right. Check you tomorrow. Take care. I do trade on screen sometimes, but I'm not always going to trade on screen. And I want to encourage you to learn how to do this and take your own setups, not take the setups that I take. But yeah, I talked to you about, I mean, somebody asked about breaker blocks. So I just went through the entire setup of why this was it, with the fair value gap turns into the unicorn, where your target would be. We'd be looking at these equal lows, which are sitting right there. We also had this S&D zone with a 50%. That could be the target for price as well. They were right next to each other. I got out at the first target. Some people probably got out at 646. So it's, but yeah, if you have any questions, any further questions, please ask away. We're myself and about 15 others in this group are happy to help you. No problem. No problem. Studying back test. Yep. See you tomorrow. Take care. 15. double top rectangle area. Are you talking about the blue area? This entry here, well, Queen hooked us up about an hour ago and said we were getting a bearish breaker that was confirmed. So from there, I marked up the bearish breaker on the 10-minute, and then we also used the same space on the 2-minute. So I marked them both up, and we had a fair value gap in here creating the unicorn. And what made this enticing, like normally for me, I like it when during the macro period, so between 350 and 410 or any other macro period during the day, I like for price to enter the breaker during the 20-minute macro. If that happens, then I'm happy. That's when I want to take the trade. So because of that, as well as I saw it reject out of the fair value, got the unicorn, because I didn't get in till down here. I got in at 181. So I was below the break. As a matter of fact, it had already traded out. It had already traded out twice. This had already happened, and we were down here when I called it out to all of you. And while I was talking to you, it traded back in a second time and traded back out. And I didn't take the entry to here. And then I saw the low hanging fruit right below us as equal lows as a place it might trade down to. Also for the 350 to 410 macro, it's a little easier because, you know, price only has a few minutes to run to the target. It doesn't have an hour to play around with you. It needs to get up and go in the next 20 minutes. So that also makes it a little easier to take the setup. All right, I'm with you, Queen. I'll hold you accountable, and I'll let you know if I break the rule too. All right, Jay, take care. See, you're talking about the red. Oh, this is a fair value gap. So this fair value gap was on the 10-minute. All right, so the same time frame that we drew the breaker, which was the 10-minute time frame, there was this gap right here. If you're familiar with fair value gaps, it's when wicks do not overlap. So this candle's down wick should overlap this candle's up wick. And this candle does not have an up wick. It just has a candle body and no wick. This candle moves down and it does not have a wick. So that space in between is a fair value gap. A bearish fair value gap. So that's what that is. Likewise, so if you look at any of these candles, you see how the wicks, this down wick overlaps this up wick, the space in between. Right? See how the wicks on both sides trade through? So that's not a fair value gap. If there was no wick there, it would be. And so that's why I drew that. And so when you have one of these inside of a breaker, the larger breaker, then that turns it from just a breaker setup to a unicorn setup, which is a higher probability setup. Yep. So for CHO, yes. So a fair value gap, if you see a red one, then it's bearish. So you're looking for lower prices. If it's green, then it's bullish and you're looking for higher prices. That's how that works. Any other questions, CHO? Uh, okay. I think I mentioned it when I drew the fair value gap inside it. Um, I could rewind it and see, but I think I mentioned it. If I didn't, my apologies. But yeah, that's the unicorn setup when you have a breaker with a fair value gap inside. Right. No problem, CHO. Catch you on the next one. Alrighty. Okay, everybody. This has been great. It's been fun. I will catch you all tomorrow morning, 9:15. We'll do another AM session, another PM session as well. On your way out, make sure you hit the like. We need to get our likes up. 63 is just not enough for the amount of people that was here today. But anyway, we need to get some more likes and subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you're always getting reminded as well as getting invitations to the live streams. You don't want to miss out. All right, everyone. Take care. See you tomorrow morning.